What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Fugu model FG-01 Jetfire. So this is a KO of the Yamato Arcadia VF-1S 1/60th scale. And it is basically a copy with obviously new paint and colors to match the Jetfire figure. For the most part, the figure and the accessories are the same as the Yamato. With some exceptions, I'll point those out during the review. So this is actually emulating the G1 toy. Speaking of that, let's bring in the G1 toy because I know a lot of people are curious about the size. Is it the same size? The answer is no. This is 1/55th scale, and as I mentioned, this is 1/60th. So this is a bigger toy. It is a little bit taller. It ends up being almost the same length, but it's a little bit longer. This is a snub nose. They've rounded off the nose for the design of G1 Jetfire. And then it is a little bit wider. So all dimensions, this one's a little bit bigger. Like I mentioned, it's bigger scale. This toy is still one of the best versions of the Macross style Jetfire. It's just got a lot of die casts, a lot of ratchets in it. It just feels good and just holds up over time. It's a really good toy. But let's take a look at this. It really has a nice paint job. I was expecting for a KO to be sloppy. The paint is very, very clean. All the red, black, and white you see, I don't see any mistakes. I haven't found a single one anywhere. Some of the tampo detail, like this right here, is very clean. You can see the writing there, the black and the red paint. Pretty much everywhere. I haven't found any mistakes. Now this one has the Macross skull and crossbones, and you'll see that again later on the armor. So I'm going to end up covering these up with Autobot logos. But for now, it does come like that. Now, it's kind of shocking to me that they wouldn't just change it, because if you watch my unboxing, they are not scared of Transformers branding and, copyright. They had Transformers on the box. They had the Jetfire artwork on the box. They call it Jetfire. So you might as well go the extra step and just put the Transformers logos on there. But they chose not to, maybe because it's a copy. But either way, it does look really, really nice in terms of the paint. It does have some features, so the wings can open and close. You can close them down to there, pull them forward up to there, just like the original Jet. You can open the cockpit here, and it is detailed and painted very nicely. You got beige, gray, and then you have detail on the dashboard. Hopefully that's coming through, but right there, there's some detail on that dashboard, which is nice. We can also open and close the landing gear. I have the landing gear open right now just because it is a little bit of a pain to do it. So I'll show you that. The front landing gear is actually the easiest of them. You can just open the two doors. I recommend a spudger. Have one handy just to get these out of your way. And then it clicks into place and locks in right there. The back one is a little bit more difficult. That one, this door swings and then pushes in, whereas this one just closes and then it kind of tabs in. So once you tab it in, it's kind of hard to get it out with your fingers. So again, recommend a spudger to help you open that front door first, and then that back door, lift it up and then fold it out, and then use the pointy end of the spudger to kind of hook onto the white part of the landing gear and then lift it out like that. And then lock it in place, and now you have all the landing gear. It does roll on the landing gear. I do have one wheel that was a little stuck out of box, so I had to loosen it up. You can either heat it up with a hairdryer to loosen up the paint, or you can just roll it if you have that problem. But it does roll nicely. Now we'll take a look at his accessories, and it does come with a ton of stuff. So I'm going to try to move relatively quickly just so we're not here all day looking at accessories. But if you open up this cockpit, we can put in the pilot. He's done in this translucent plastic. The original one was painted, red, black, and white. I think it's apropos to have him as a clear translucent, but that'll fit in there, and it sits nicely. It looks really good. So I'm going to leave it in there for the rest of the review. We also get a stand, which is great for this figure. Now, this is not the same stand that you get with the Yamato Arcadia. This is something different. I don't know where this came from, but it does require a little bit of assembly, so you're going to take this piece. There is die casting here, and this piece is relatively heavy. This piece is plastic. This will plug in here. Then we can take this piece, which is full die cast painted. It does have grooves here, so just make sure you match those up. Get that in there. And that does have a ratchet in there. And then you're going to take this piece and fit it in there. All of it is painted in this silverish color, and then it's got this, I think it's a Tampo, caution label. That will fit onto this peg right here. Right. And then we need the adapter. So there's an adapter for jet mode, and then there's an adapter for robot mode. This is the jet mode adapter. If you come to the bottom here, we do have to separate the leg, at least one leg, to get this on. So actually come to the top here, you're going to unpeg this from the side of the tail fin, and then you're going to fold this down. It's going to unpeg from the body. So there's a peg right here that's going into a slot right here. And then we can pop up this piece right here, because we need a little bit of room to get in and get this tab together. So this is the piece. You're going to insert it like this with the opening towards the front. These tabs on the side are going to fit into slots on the legs. So get this on, get this side in, or whichever side you have down, get in first. Then get the other side down. There we go. And then make sure that peg makes its way in there. And then push this back in so it's sitting flush onto the jet. Bring this back. Make sure you get that tab in on the bottom of the leg. And then make sure you get this tab on the side of the tail fins. And now we have that in there. It's not going anywhere. Nice and solid. That will fit right here. So just get this pegged in. Oops, not that way. This way. And then we can take these, and that's just stabilizers to hold it in place. All right, and there it is on the stand, and it looks really good. It's a very, very well done stand, and it has a lot of adjustment on it. And I'm pretty confident with this just because the way it's pegged in is very secure. So you can rotate it forward and backwards, so you can get a angled up and down. You can rotate it this way, and again, it's ratcheted, so it'll hold. And then one of the best things is you have an angle, so you can bank. So if you want him banking and diving at the same time, you could do that. It's a really well done stand. And then this can rotate, obviously, because it's on a peg. So, you can really just display it however you want in flight. One of the best, the stands out there that I've seen. I don't think this came with the Yamato. This is from something else, or maybe their own original design, but it really works well here. As far as the weaponry, we get a bunch of ordnance here, and you really can only put 4 things on at a time. So you can see there's 2 slots on each wing, and that kind of limits the options because there is so much that you get. You get 4 of these kind of missile pods. And I don't know, weaponry that well, so I'm just calling them missile pods. 4 of those. And you can plug these in. I'm not going to plug them all in. I just want to show you what it looks like. So you can do that. We get 2 sets of these double missiles. And they can be removed from this. So you can untab them and pretend they're firing or whatever you want. And for whatever reason, these, the 2 that I have, they don't peg in well. Oh, that one goes in. So we can get this one on. And like I mentioned, there's endless combinations. You can really put them. Yeah, this is the one. This one, for whatever reason, the peg either is misshapen or something's up, but couldn't get that one on. Then we get the single missiles. So it looks exactly like the other ones, but it's just 1 instead of 2. And like I mentioned, you can remove these from their tab. So you can combine this however you want. And then lastly, we get these smaller ones. I don't think these detach. Yeah, these don't detach. So you can put these on as well. That happens to be my favorite of all of these. I'm not a fan of the black ones. I think these single ones combined with the double ones, or combined with the triple piece, looks the best. But obviously you can do it however you want. And you get 4 of these kind. We also get his gun here. And again, it does say UN Spacey on it. I'm hoping for stickers or something to cover this up. But this can also mount on the vehicle. We do have to take it off of here, unfortunately. You can just push up. I recommend pushing up instead of pulling. Push up on this. Come to the bottom here, you can see a little slot right there. And this has a little tab in the handle. So you can get this in between here. It can kind of attach on either side. So I just recommend just push it up a little bit. Get it tabbed in there. And if you need help, grab a spudger. You can kind of just give it a little push. And that'll kind of sandwich in between there. All right, now that you have it wedged in there, you can put this back on. It does collide. There's a little, just enough space for it to fit, but it does like touch the front. All right, now it's time for the main event. I saved it the best for last, which is the armor parts. And we'll get those on there. So first step, we're going to unplug the tail fins from right there. There's a little tab. And then we're going to fold this down, unpeg it from here, and just fold it down a few clicks. Same on this side, unpeg it from the tail, and then untab it from the body, and then bring it down a few clicks. Just give yourself some room. Then we can take the tail fin. There's a smaller and longer one, so make sure you fold the shorter one in, that's this one right here, and then fold the longer one down, and that gives a little bit more space. Then you're going to bend it on this double hinge and bring it down. Now, this is a painted surface, so I recommend putting something in between to protect that paint. I'm just going to put a little piece of paper here. You don't have to, but I've noticed my G1 Jetfire, the paint has rubbed off over time, so now I'm wary of that. So I always put something in there to protect it. Fold that down, and now we can take care of these arms. They like to pop out of this clip right here. They're both clipped in to this clip. So they should be in there. You can do it after you get the armor on, but that's how they're supposed to be. Like that. But hold this, and we can grab the armor parts. And these will sit with this white part facing the back. Get one side over the tab. You can see the tab right there. And then finish it by getting the other side on. And I'm trying to show it on camera. It's a little bit harder, but it should look something like that. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Right, and now we're ready for the legs. So bring the legs back up, angle it right here. Something like that. And we can adjust it later if we need to. Grab the leg pieces, and the way you know it's the right side is this curved piece is going to go on the back. So this is the wrong side. We want these slots to attach the outer armor to. So that's for the other leg. We'll use this one. So you're going to get the hook tab in first, the back one, and then click this front one in. I didn't quite get it. There we go. Now it's in. All right, then you can click this back up. There's a tab right here, so get that tabbed in. And that's how you know how it should fit. Let's go ahead and grab your armor and just peg 2 pieces in. Looks just like that. This is probably going to keep falling off, so. All right, same on this side. So let's take this piece. And this piece, I would recommend caution. I'm going to show you how to put it in. It's going to go slide in like this with these parts underneath. And these are going to fit into here. Putting it on is pretty easy. Just slide it in, get those 3 tabs in. But taking it off is a lot harder. So I recommend if you are trying to remove these for disassembly, use a spudger and get it wedged in here. Don't pull on this. I recommend you put a spudger there, and that'll help pop it out. Right, but here's that booster piece. It's got a lot of fun features on it. You can remove the front here. You can remove this top piece. You have to kind of angle it off, so you push up on this. I'm doing this now so that before I install it, but make sure you angle it up and out because you've got this booster here. And look at that detail. Looks awesome. Copper paint, silver paint, black paint, white paint. The booster can be angled, so it's on a ball joint. Up and down, there's silver paint in there. It's really, really well done. Let's get the armor back on. And again, remember, make sure you put the side with the booster in there on first. And this can be a little tricky to get on here, so take your time, be careful. But get this on there, and then bring it down on the other side, and we'll tab it. All right, and then we'll get the other one on there. So get same thing, plug in the 3 tabs. And I'm showing you all this stuff before I put it on, just so it's harder to kind of show it when it's installed. These 2 tabs are going to go into the 2 grooves right under this top piece. And then the pegs on the inside, here and here, are going to go into the sides of this, kind of like where the legs were before. So get this slid in. And make sure it lines up. Slide it all the way forward, as far as it'll go. And you'll know when it's far enough forward when those 2 tabs reach the slots, but it has a stopping point. And then once you get it there, make sure those tabs make their way in to that center piece. And by the way, we can still tab the gun in here even with the armor. I mentioned to have the screws on the inside. I think you want on the outside. And then same thing, the gun can come between those 2 pieces of armor and sit right there. Which, again, I love when you can mount all the accessories on one. All right, and the last bit of accessories here are the translucent parts, which are new. They didn't come with the Yamato figure, so here's what it looks like. Just translucent red. Really cool. So you can display all of these under pieces and this detail underneath the armor. So this one's pretty easy. Just pop that off, pop that on. For this piece I showed you earlier, you want to pull from the inside first and then detach it from this side with the booster. Then pop on the new one, same way. And then for this piece, you can pull this down and pop this off. And then we're going to grab, again, a spudger to get this popped off. And I recommend pushing in on the armor. And that'll give you a little space and then you can pull it off. So take off the armor piece. Make sure you grab the right one. And then attach that new translucent piece. You can see all the detail underneath. Again, I really like that, but you can plug it in here. And now we have the translucent parts. And I love that. Here's the other side just to contrast the 2. All right, and before we get it out of this mode, here are some comparisons with some other Jetfires. Here's the G1, Iron Factory, and New Age. And it is bigger than both the Legend scales and smaller than the G1. There you go. All right, let's get this guy transformed into robot mode. And you can transform it with the armor on there. I don't recommend it. I think it's easier to transform it without it. So I'm going to take it off. And we could do the Gerwalk mode. So open this up, pull this out. Actually, you don't have to pull it out. You can open it up and have it pushed back so it's solid, but it doesn't really move back and forth unless you pull it all the way out. And this one, pull this out, open this up. For these arms, you're going to have to swing it all the way out and around. So there's a armature that's on a pin that you're going to rotate. So rotate all the way around, and then it clicks into place here. So you got to kind of get it around this little ridge, and then it sits right here once you get it past that point. Yeah. And then same thing on this side. Bring this all the way around. And this does feel sturdy. It is the thinnest part of plastic, so I would be careful right here. But it does feel relatively sturdy. And I'm going to have to glue this back because it keeps falling off and it's kind of irritating. But this is supposed to be right here. All right, and then we can open up these arms. Flip out the hands. Again, you could use a spudger if that's going to make your life easier. You can grab the hand and rotate this all the way around and then tab it back in. Same on this side. Rotate this all the way around. Tab it back in. And I can't remember. I think this goes down for Gerwalk mode. You can have it however you like, but get these, both of these lined up. So they're the same. Basically, there you go. All right, now let's get it into robot mode. And I think this is supposed to be like this for Gerwalk mode. Whatever though. Let's get out of this mode because it's not important to me. It's just nice that you can do it. So open this up. I'm going to come to the bottom here. We can unpeg the legs, and I recommend a spudger to get in between here because we got to separate the thighs and from this fuselage. Same on this side, we can separate the thighs, and once you separate both of them, this whole armature will come down. You can sort of click into here. It doesn't really lock into place, but it just kind of clicks into there. Straighten up the legs for now, and we can take care of the rest of this. For now, you can bring these wings down. We can open up this white center section here. We're going to pull forward on this. It's a little tricky, so pull this forward. I'm going to pull forward on this and maybe just use a spudger if that helps you. Open this up. We're going to separate this, and this part is the trickiest part. I would recommend getting some leverage here and pulling forward, and that's got to detach from there. Once you do that, then you can pull this forward on a double hinge. Leave this open for now. And lift this up. Underneath, there's a little black piece. So we have to get that slid forward on the section, and this can be a little tricky to slide forward, but it should slide all the way down. Bring this panel down on a double hinge, and it should collapse over the chest. Make sure you push this back in. This nose cone section should be pushed back up in order for robot mode to work, and then this comes down and covers the cockpit. And I definitely need to cover this up, but looks like that. As you're doing this, we're going to bring the head around. So rotate the head on the neck joint here. That'll bring it around. And then come to the inside here, and there's an option part, a couple option parts. The first part is the neck. So you have this piece right here. So this is going to sit right in here, and it's hard to show you without doing it, but I'll show you from this side. So this piece will come up into here, and it is a little tricky to get in there, but it looks like that. And then you can take the pilot's seat which comes with a separate pilot seat. And this can sit right here. And I think the point is that the driver would be, you know, kind of piloting him. So you could put the little pilot there. Obviously, we're not going to do that. I want this for Jetfire purposes, so we're not going to have a pilot. So let's take that out. I'll take this piece that I just put in. Oops, and the head is, by the way, the head is on a peg, so it does just pull off. So let's put that back on there. But let's take this piece out, and we'll replace this with this. So you can put this part in. I'm going to put it in after just because we have two other pieces to put in, which are these ab pieces. So this has a little bar that's going to fit into this C-clip here. So get this into here. And then same thing for this side. And then this is going to fit right in between the chest. So bring this all the way down. We can keep these wings open for now. And make sure these ab pieces make their way into the inside of those ab pieces you just put in. Before we close this up, actually come to the back here and we'll take care of this. So for this nose cone, we're going to open up this panel. There's two little pieces on the side that actually fold in on their own. Hopefully you saw that. Make sure those are folded in. They just make up, they fill the hole, the gap. And then bring this up. This is going to peg in right here. So line this up and you'll hear it click in place like that. And then you can close up this panel to cover up that hole, and that kind of holds it all together. Leave that down. Come back to the front, and now we'll start taking care of. We can put that plastic piece, that black piece I showed you earlier. And it is hard to get it back out once you put it in. That's why I waited until now to put it in. But that sits like that. Bring the neck down. Rotate the head towards the front. Rotate your ears up. Bring your arms down. These are really tight. I haven't had an issue, but just use caution. Rotating those down. On the back, you bring these wings down. They'll just sit right there in between. We can straighten up his legs. Bring the arms so that you get the elbows facing forward and the hands facing the right direction. And again, this joint is very tight. So you might want some shock oil or something like that. This chest piece, it just actually just sits down, but there are two little pegs. So make sure this goes in and that kind of holds the chest down. All right, and there's Jetfire in robot mode, and it looks really good. You got some translucent red for the eyes with some tampo detail. You get a red dot there, some black there on the sides, the no step little symbols there. That paint from the jet mode comes through nicely. We have red paint here on the thighs, which I don't think the original had. Original VF-1S. Black here for the knees. Black stripe here. On the side, we have the stripe. It still says UN Spacey, so I don't know. I'm going to have to cover that up. Red paint there for the stripes. On the back, we have the backpack. It still looks good. For the articulation, the head is on that peg, so it rotates all the way around. It gets upward and downward movement on the head itself, but then the panel that it's on can go back, so you can get way up and way down just because of the combination of those two. So that really works. The ears can go forward and backward, so you can have him, use it as lasers if you want, or guns, whatever. For the shoulders, they're on a reverse butterfly joint. You get a little bit of forward, but not much, mainly for transformation. Your rotation here, it's very tight like I showed you during the transformation, so just be careful with that. Maybe support this or put some shock oil in there. Goes out to the side, up to there, back down to there. Somewhat limited, and it's very tight, so just be careful. I'll probably put some lubricant in there. Your rotation here at the bicep, single jointed elbow gets you 90 degrees. You have rotation at the wrist, in and out movement at the wrist. The hands do remove, I'll show you later, the alternate hands. The thumb goes in and out. The pointer finger is separate, and then the bottom 3 fingers are pinned. You can't point with this hand, but there's alternate hands, so I'll show you that later. Coming to the waist, there's no waist swivel, no ab crunch. And generally speaking, on these cross figures, we don't get that. Although I think the 301 did do that. But the thigh is on a ball joint, so you get a rotation on the ball joint. You get forward and backward on the ball joint, but it hits the wings back here. Now you can move the wings out of the way, but then it just would look funny. So if you get up to there where it hits, then you can rotate this here, the thigh, to get it up to there. And there's a cover down piece there. And then you can get the knee down to there. There's a rotation here at the knee. So there's 2 rotations and 2 joints. You can get the leg bent. Again, very traditional for these cross figures. For the foot, you have forward and backward movement. I think it's 2 clicks back, 2 clicks forward, and then you can open or close this. It seems to work best if you have it not all the way open, kind of like that. All right, now let's take a look at the accessories here. And again, some of the same ones we already looked at in the jet mode, but here's the gun. You can open this up, pull down on this handle, pull back on this handle, and then you have that. And this will fit in the hand. There's a little tab right here. So get that angled in there. The pointer finger will actually end up in the trigger guard. So get that tabbed. And it's a little tricky to get it tabbed, to be honest. It wants to pop out, but close the fingers around it, and there you go. Not a bad looking gun. We also get some alternate hands. And you get 2 different styles. So you get kind of this animation bubbly style. I'm not a huge fan of this. I just think he looks better with robotic hands. But if you want, oh, this is double jointed. Okay, it was a little tight, so I guess I didn't notice it. But there's another joint here. My mistake. It is double jointed elbows. But anyway, we can get the hand plugged into here, and for one, they just look a little big to me. I guess that's the point, but I'm not a big fan of this style, but I just want to show you them anyways. You get that open style, we get the fisted hand, looks like that. You can't transform it with any of these. You have to put this back on or nothing if you want to transform it. And then we get these, which honestly are my preference. I think these look the best, and also they have the red stripe on it, so it just completes the look altogether. So I definitely prefer those. And then if we take this one out and we detach this hand, we can use either this one for a gun holding hand, and he ends up having the trigger, and it can be a little tight, so if it's too tight, just heat it up. But here's what it looks like with the animated hand. Again, I don't like these animated ones, so take that out. And then you get this one, which again is my preference, is this kind of robotic looking hand. And that'll fit, the pointer finger will fit alongside the trigger guard. And my preference, this looks the best to me, so I put that on there. Now, there's something off about the angle, like it angles itself down because of the back of this gun. So that's a little weird to me, but either way, I think these are the best looking hands in the set. You just have to put these back on for transformation. All right, and then we get the armor parts, and rather than just taking the time up, I'm just going to install all the armor. It installs exactly the same way as it installed in jet mode, so let's get it set up. All right, and there's Jetfire all armored up with the exception of one piece, It looks really good. I decided to do the same thing. I put the opaque pieces on this side and the translucent pieces on this side. But I left this one off because there's a little piece, an adapter, looks like this. And you could tell based on the pegs, it attaches right there. And I had no idea what this is for. So shout out to Jimmy H from Jimmy H Customs for explaining this to me. Basically, if you have two of these, like I showed you during transformation, you can pull this nose cone right off, and that nose cone will attach right here. And it does what is called the escape pod mode. Basically, you know, you're having the escape pod from another Robotech, or Macross figure, and he just has it attached to his arm. So I don't know. It's not something that Jetfire did, so I'm not planning to do it, but let's take this off and put the armor on there. And armor looks great. I love the little silver bits there, the white, black and white on the front. I mean, it looks really, really good. But this also will fit on the flight stand. So if you come to the bottom here, we're going to grab the adapter for robot mode. Looks like this. You're going to have to just move the legs out of the way, open up the wings, and this will fit right in here. So these two pieces are going to go around the bar, and then this is going to go up in here. So get this in here. That'll attach just like that. Close the wings back up. Bring in your flight stand, and then same thing, we're going to slide this down onto here. And there you go. Now he's on the flight stand. It is extremely sturdy. He is not going anywhere. And for quick size comparison, there it is next to the G1 Jetfire and my custom Fans Toys Phoenix done by Get Right Robot in the G1 Jetfire style. And you can see it's obviously not going to fit as a masterpiece scale. It's probably not going to work in a legend scale because it'll be too big. Might work in a retail scale. Maybe just a little bit small for retail. But either way, there you go for a sense of scale. So final recommendations on the FG-01 Jetfire. I really love this thing. It's kind of a dream piece for me, but I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I'm going to recommend it. It really does a lot of things well. The jet mode works perfectly. Everything locks in place. The armor pieces really work. I love the translucent armor. They did such a good job with this. The idea of being able to see the detail underneath without having to have the armor on there. Normally you have to take the armor off to see that detail. So this is a nice option because you can display it like this and still see it. I would be careful with these because it is translucent plastic after all, but after several additions and removals, I haven't had any issues. So that's good news. All the accessories, especially this display stand, typically when we get display stands for flying figures, they're flimsy or you can't really trust them. This one is super duper solid. I would definitely trust this on the shelf. It's not that pretty, you know, it's got some pieces sticking out and stuff like that, but I'd rather have not that pretty and sturdy than pretty and loose. So this works for me. Things that don't really are things to watch out for is the shoulder joints there. They're very tight on those ball joints, so just be careful and cautious. I haven't, again, no issues, but I would be careful as you bend it, maybe support that inner arm piece. But overall, yeah, really well done. The durability is pretty good, definitely better than the Kids concept figure I looked at a while back, so I definitely recommend this over that. I plan to have this in jet mode. I have my G1 in robot mode. I am going to get stickers. I think Jimmy H is going to hook me up, so stay tuned. I'll get a review of that whenever I get that. And yeah, it's pretty good. And I know people are going to ask me, where did you get this? I got it from a Chinese store. It's sold out now, so there's no point in mentioning them. I'm not promoting them anyways. So you'll have to look in Chinese stores to find this just because it's a KO. Most of the American stores aren't going to hold this, aren't going to carry this just because of what it is. But I definitely think it's worth, I think it was $150 what I paid. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.